Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to today's lesson. And in today's lesson, we're looking at another class of lipid, which we call the prostaglandins. Another class of lipid, which we call prostaglandins. So we've been looking at different types of lipids, where we've looked at glycolipids, sphingolipids, fatty acid, triacylglyceride. But today's lesson, we are going to look at a kind of lipid which we call the prostaglandins. So kindly move with me by following the cursor, the white thing that is moving on the screen. Yes, that white cursor, the white pointer there. It's the one that is I'll be using to point out certain points, yeah, and certain facts from this information. Okay, so what are prostaglandins? So prostaglandins, they are physiologically active lipid compounds called eicosanoids, which have diverse effects in animals. So when we talk about prostaglandin, we're talking about lipids that are made from a fatty acid which we call alacidonic acid. And then that alacidonic acid is being polymerized or broken down to form a chemical compound or a class of lipid which we call an eicosanoid. So prostaglandins, they are just eicosanoids that are made from a fatty acid which we call alacidonic acid. The major functioning of these prostaglandins, they act like hormones, but most of them, they are not hormones. Most prostaglandins work in a similar manner like hormones, but they are not hormones, in the sense that hormones, they are secreted by the endocrine glands and also by the brain, then they're released into the bloodstream. But when we talk of prostaglandins, they are produced at the site of infection or the site within the body where it is damaged. So that's why most prostaglandins, they are found in every cell of the body. Yeah, so they are found in every cell and every part of the body and every tissue of the body, so that in case the tissue gets damaged or the tissue gets destroyed, this prostaglandin will act to facilitate the healing process. And as a result of prostaglandin being produced at a site which is damaged or infected, they cause about few effects such as swelling, inflammation, pain, and fever, so that as the body is healing. So the pain that most people feel when, let's say, when you are injured or you cut yourself, they are sometimes due to a group of lipids which we call the prostaglandins. They are being produced there at the sites where the tissue is damaged, and as a result, it will either cause swelling, pain, or fever during the healing process. For instance, we have a prostaglandin which we call thromboxane. So thromboxane is a prostaglandin which works hand in hand with the platelets. The platelets, these are the blood, the components of of the insoluble part of the blood, which helps in blood clotting. So the thromboxane, which is a prostaglandin, will help in aggregating or putting together the platelets together so that they can seal up the damaged vein or tissue. So prostaglandins, they are produced at the sites where the where the cell or the tissue is damaged. Okay, so let's look at how prostaglandins are controlled within the body. Since we're saying that prostaglandins, they are produced from a fatty acid which we call alacidonic acid. So now, how do that process happen? So in order for you to break down alacidonic acid to produce a fatty acid, you need two enzymes. The first one is what we call cyclooxygenase 1, or you can use another hormone which we call cyclooxygenase 2. So these two enzymes, we have cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2. These are enzymes that will break down the alacidonic acid into either an eicosanoid or a thromboxane or a prostacyclin. So these, what they do, whenever when a tissue is damaged, the cyclooxygenase 2 will start reacting with the alacidonic fatty acid to produce to increase the levels of prostaglandin to the affected part of the body. So we control the production of prostaglandin by using cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2 in the body. However, having this knowledge helps us and helps other medical faculties to come up with drugs to treat certain illnesses and conditions. For instance, when you're talking of heart conditions and conditions that are related to blood clotting and heart chronic diseases, we can we can stop the clotting of blood by reducing the levels of prostaglandin. So how do we do that? We create a drug or a medicine that will go and hinder the secretion of cyclooxygenase 1. Since whenever cyclooxygenase 1 is produced or cyclooxygenase 2 is produced, the prostaglandin will be produced. And when prostaglandins are produced, it will either trigger the clotting of blood which in some people, when blood clots, let's say with people with heart conditions, it's quite problematic. So we can induce drugs like aspirin. So the aspirins that are specifically designated to treat heart condition, how it works is that it blocks the secretion of cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2. So these prostaglandins, they are also further used because of their uses in treating and the healing process of the body. We can also use prostaglandin to trigger induced labor. So the other use of prostaglandins, we can use drugs that promotes the secretion of prostaglandins so that we can have induced labor and also treat other diseases like uh, uh, stomach ulcers, glaucoma, and also congenital heart diseases, congenital heart diseases in newly born babies. So what it does, when you increase the levels of prostaglandin for a pregnancy, it will cause the uterus to contract, and as a result, there will be an induced forced labor or delivery of a child. So prostaglandins, a recap of what I've said is that prostaglandins, they are lipids that are made from a fatty acid which we call arachidonic acid, which is broken down to produce either eicosanoids or what we call prostacyclins or what we call thromboxanes. So those are prostaglandins, and most prostaglandins, they work more like hormones, but they are not hormones. So I want to show you how the whole process of prostaglandins, the way they are produced, and the different types of prostaglandins. Alright, so here is the diagram. I said prostaglandins. For you to produce prostaglandin, you need a fatty acid which we call arachidonic acid. So follow my case, arachidonic acid. So this arachidonic acid, when it comes in contact with these two enzymes, either cyclooxygenase 1 or cyclooxygenase 2, it will produce a prostaglandin which is denoted as PGH2. So it is from arachidonic acids, then you produce a prostaglandin. So these enzymes, they are the ones that promote the production of prostaglandin within the body. So there are different types of prostaglandins that are produced from arachidonic acid. However, the three kind of prostaglandins, the broad category that we have we can either have what we call prostacyclin and thromboxane, or we can have what we call eicosanoids. So from prostacyclins and thromboxanes, as well as eicosanoids, these are the broad categories of prostaglandins. So from this, we can see that from arachidonic acid, we produce a prostaglandin which is PGH2. Then from this PGH2, we can have several types of prostaglandins such as PGD2. Then we have PXA2. Then we have also PGE2. Then we have PGI2. Then we have PGF2A. So these PG stands for prostaglandins. Then the letters D, E, then the numbers, they designate the effect to which they bind. So each of these prostaglandin which is produced has got a different function that it plays, or it binds to a different effector within the body. So for example, let's look at the prostaglandins which we call the SEBA. So in simple terms, what I've said under the classification of prostaglandin is that prostaglandin, first and foremost, they are produced from what we call, from an acid which we call arachidonic acid. So arachidonic acid, then you, under the use of these two enzymes, either cyclooxygenase 1 or cyclooxygenase 2, you produce different types of prostaglandin. And the broad category of how we can classify prostaglandin, they have 6 types of prostaglandins. But each of those, they fall under 3 categories. It's either you have what we call a prostacyclin, a thromboxane, or you have an eicosanoid. So under the prostacyclin, we have what we call PGH2. It's also a prostaglandin. When we have under thromboxane, we have TXA2, which is also a prostaglandin. Then we also have eicosanoids. Under the eicosanoids, the types of prostaglandin that you find, you have PGE1, then you have also PGF2, then you have also PGE2. So all of these, they are the examples of prostaglandins and their classification.